Morning, everyone. So I'm going to try and share what's going to be a whole school inset day in just 10 minutes. So if I speak really fast, I apologise now. Everything that I share, once we've shared in school on Tuesday, I'm going to write a blog post about it and I'm going to put all the resources into my Dropbox. You'll be able to access everything you can have. This presentation, the one from Tuesday, the reading spine, everything I'm going to share today. Okay. So as I said, I'm Deputy Head Teacher and Teacher at Leighton Primary School in Blackpool. Like many of the schools you'll teach at, we are in an area of significant deprivation. We are one of the 11 opportunity areas in the country. We're 3-4 entry, we've got 600 children. A majority, a lot of our children come in significantly below where they should in terms of reading, as you can sort of see from the statistics there too about Blackpool. This research was carried out by the Literacy Trust. And one of the other interesting facts they came out with was that, for children, if you were to read around 5 children's books per week to your child, they would hear more than 1 million words, so an estimated 1.4 million more than their peers who are not being read to daily. So again, it just shows like the importance of why it's so important for children to read. For us as a school, reading has been on our school development plan for quite a few years, and it's one of those things, other things come along and we keep sort of putting it off and putting it off. And when you look at our end of Key Stage 2 SATs results, it's easy to see why. Because our results are significantly above national averages, which you can see there. So for us, it's, well, what's the point in having a whole school reading culture? We're doing all right. But actually, I've been a Year 6 teacher for a long time, and I had the privilege last year to spend a lot of time speaking to teachers, doing questionnaires, talking to children about reading, getting feedback, spending time in classes. And it was becoming clear, as it was when I was in Year 6, that a lot of that time was spent sort of sacrificing some of the foundation subjects and just teaching to test, so just teaching those short comprehension texts. And then we also started to find out that there was different types of questions being asked in different year groups. So some teachers were using Vipers, some weren't, some were making up their own questions. Some knew what the type of questions they were asking in a Year 6 paper looked like, some didn't. In literacy lessons, they were becoming a whole reading lesson where teachers were using a text, which was great, but then they were spending so long, they'd read a part of the text and they'd be breaking it apart, and the children were losing interest. They didn't know what was going on because they were listening, and it was cognitive overload with all this information being thrown at them. And you'd get to the end of the week and some teachers were saying, I haven't written anything down because we've just been reading the text. And so it was clear that we needed a clear definition of a reading lesson to teach reading skills, a lesson where we read to children so they enjoyed being read to, and a literacy lesson where we're teaching the writing skills as well. Which is sort of why then we sort of knew, right, we had to do something about this. So this is where I started. I'm already in evidence leading education with our research school, and their guidance reports, they've got them for every, with most subjects, are a super starting point. I read Doug Limov's, and still keep going back to it now, his Reading Reconsidered, which became my Bible. Alex Quigley's reading book, again, phenomenal book, so much, just keep going back to it again and again. The Research Rich Pedagogy site, so much research on there, videos to watch, it's great for teachers to go to. And Ashley Booth, who I cannot thank enough, I was so privileged at the start of lockdown to join one of his Zoom meetings. And, with our schools have sort of done some work together, known Ashley for a while, and the fantastic work he's doing. And everything he said in Zoom meeting, that one evening, Ashley, you've no idea how it just made everything click, and everything he said, thought that just is what we're talking about for our school. So we came up with, for our school, the 3 key aspects of reading. So for our children, it's about that knowledge of the world. So it's, again, please, as schools, we cannot stop those foundation subjects. How can children answer questions about them if they've got a limited knowledge of the world? So it's really important for that. A stylistic analysis. So again, coming back to your SPAG, and the curriculum's calling for pupils to comment on their own and others' writing, and it's these aspects we should use to do so. And finding and summarising information, so children have got to understand that each word is loaded with so much information rather than just information text. So we came up with, sort of called it our core of the core, and this is what we wanted. We wanted to talk about reading harder text. So if we want to send our children who are unfamiliar with the struggle of challenging text, never mind, never having read a book more than 100 years old to college, It's to send them unprepared. It's elitist not to teach these texts to our pupils. We want them to be writing for reading. So again, there's some deep synergies between learning to read well and learning to write well. And the way children write influences a lot more than just what they put on paper. It shapes what they take from reading. We want them to be reading more non-fiction again. So most of what our children will read in college will be non-fiction. And that stands out in stark contrast, the balance of what most of us read at primary school, which tends to be overwhelmingly fiction and narrative non-fiction. And then closed reading text. This is the set of tools readers need to use to solve text, which is challenging, and it's when children are out of their comfort zone. So with all that in mind, when you talk about creating this culture of whole school reading, this is our vision, and it just sums up for us perfectly. The more you read, the more things you know, and the more you learn, the more places you'll go, which just sums up what we're talking about. That's our vision for our school for reading. So with that in mind, we wanted to look at a reading spine. So we started off looking at classic texts, but as we're going through, we just realised that these classic texts, there was no diversity in them, and there was a lot of challenge there for our children's vocabulary, the syntax and context with cultural references. It's vastly different than today. And again, if we talk about our children going to college, where they're going to be reading James Madison, Edmund Spenser, we need that, but we needed that diversity. And all this, by the way, this is based on Doug Lamotte's 5 Plagues for Reading. Again, he talks about when children need experiences of these in order to access tougher text, but we've opted for 4 for our school. We want them to be reading non-linear time sequences. So in these, time tends to unfold with consistency, but it also moves like in fits and starts and doubles back. Narratively complex texts. These books are sometimes narrated by an unreliable narrator. So, for example, a non-human narrator like The Horse in Black Beauty. And some of these books have got multiple and intertwined and unrelated plot lines. They're harder to read than books with simple plot, and all of our children need to experience these types. And then Impressionist text, so figurative, symbolic text, perhaps half the poems ever written fall into this category. And you've got to look for clues, hints, and uncertainties in these. So I'll show you, if I just come out of here, we have got 6 NQTs joining us, and we've also got teachers in different year groups. So we've put together for them the reading spine. So it's got each year group down the side, it's got at the top what they are. So for example, if you're year 4, and think, right, Mike, you're going to take one of your class novels. This is going to be your Monday to Friday. I'll talk quickly about that in a minute. So you might think, right, for my class, I'm going to start with The Borrowers. So you're going to take that as your classic text. So Monday to Friday, you're going to read The Borrowers to them every day. So non-negotiable, you're just going to read to them. And then twice a week, you're going to study that text. And this is just came from Ashley, and it just resonated what our school needed and where we were going. We're already doing some of this. So again, don't just change everything. We have so many pockets of fantastic things going. So don't chuck the baby out with the bathwater. When you finish The Borrowers, you might think, right, we're going to go and use the poems. So we're going to use Please Mrs. Butler. And you take it each time you finish one, you take one from a different category. And that's going to be a novel. And then we've also started adding to this history books, geography, science, RE, PSHE. Okay. So for us, again, you don't have to redo your whole timetable. We did, because again, I talked about we've got these NQTs, we've got teach different year groups. So we've put it in the timetable, so it's a non-negotiable. So Monday and Friday, you study your class novel. So you read it every day, 15 minutes. It's got to be challenging. You start with recall quiz, recap questions, authorial intent, predictions, summarising, sequencing. You do that twice a week. So you read it 5 days, you study it 2 days. Tuesday to Thursday, the theme text, and this is where you can get in so much non-fiction. So you can link it to an issue or a theme. You can be starting a different topic next week, and you might think, right, you know what? We're going to learn about it now. So if I come out of here and quickly show you, I haven't done all this, by the way. We have school improvement groups, and there's a fantastic group of teachers who the last few weeks of lockdown just ran with this. So this is taken, go back to here, that we planned for year 5, that are going to be talking about animals. Got Tuesday, so on Tuesday they've started off with a poem, and they read the poem, and then they've got a quiz about the poem, and they have a vocab check. Sometimes, well, it's useful to put a photograph in as well to reinforce vocabulary teaching. They do partner talk, individual thinking time, solo task, which is about the higher order challenge thinking for them. Then on Wednesday, They start off, they've got a video to watch here all about sort of ageing and elderly people. They've got a quiz about what they've just watched. They have a vocab check again. They have partner talk, individual thinking time, another solo task. And on Thursday, they've got something here they're going to read from Britannica. They have a vocab check. They have partner talk, individual thinking. They have a solo task. They have a quiz to finish. And then if we go back to here, there we go. And this is everything sort of about us developing that love of reading. It's got to come from all of us. We've all got to be reading. We've got to be recommending books to children. They've got to be recommending books to us. And it's just got to be at the heart of our school, what we're doing with the children. So thank you very much.